Hi, everyone. Drew Roberts here with Milwaukee Real Producers. We have the opportunity today to get to know one of our preferred partners, James Marquardt with Everly Properties. James recently came on with Milwaukee Real Producers in the last couple months with his company, and we're excited to get to know James a little bit better and also learn a little bit more about his business and how he's currently working with the top agents in the market and go from there. So James, really appreciate your time today, and we look forward to getting to know you and your business a little bit better.
Yeah, Drew, thanks for reaching out and doing this. I really appreciate it. I think it helps for everybody to get a little perspective on what's going on in different industries across the market here.
Definitely. Yeah, we're excited to learn more. Give everybody an opportunity to learn more about you. I guess we'll kind of start there too. I guess if you can kind of give us a little insight into, your background and how you got into this company and, why you decided to kind of start this company.
Sure. Yeah, definitely. I have a background in finance. I worked for a couple big banks for about 15 years, but the real estate industry has always kind of been a passion for me. I've had rental properties and, done a few flips. And when an opportunity came up I joined a larger firm originally for about 3 years, worked there, kind of covered the Southeast Wisconsin market for them, learned a lot and took a lot away. And ultimately I kind of decided, hey, if this is something I think I can do better at a lower cost and keep a little bit more money in my pocket, which I'm sure a lot of people watching this. We formed the company last year, and we've been adding properties ever since. We work with a number of different investors where they're out of state, a couple international investors that own a few properties, as well as just small kind of one-off properties where it was somebody's original home and they moved out to the suburbs and just want to kind of hold on to it for a long-term asset. It really is, we look at leveraging real estate as a true investment and kind of helping landlords not to have to deal with all the landlord issues that everybody loves much to get those late night clogged toilet or anything.
Right. Everybody loves to own the real estate, but then the upkeep is really, that's the hard part, right? So
every owner I talk to has got stories. That's for sure. Whether it's a tenant or a property or whatever it is, but that's part of the fun. We reach out and we're helping people. We kind of operate in a pretty specific niche, so the vast majority of our properties are single family, a few condos and townhomes mixed in there. I think on the low end, we're about $1,200 a month, all the way up to about $5,500 a month.
Really cool.
The tenants we're dealing with typically have, great credit, great income. We haven't had any issues with everything that's happening, in the market. Everybody paid their April rent on time. So basically, because we operate in that market, we're able to deliver those services at a lower cost to our owners.
Sure. And I know one of the things too that I'd love to touch on, but when you and I first kind of met, there are a lot of agents out there, right, that do have maybe kind of that one-off property, or they have a couple properties. Tell us a little bit more about how that is ideal for the owners that you are working with, because I do think that's something that like you said, a little bit of a lower cost, but you're able to kind of manage everything that they need. And I think that's a huge selling point for what you're doing.
Yeah, and we can really personalize it however the owner wants to work with the property. We have some owners that they love the side of the property where they're marketing and, interviewing all the applicants and, placing that tenant. But once they get them in, they don't want to deal with collecting the rent or getting phone calls and things like that. The daily management thing is just really not their thing. We have other investors where it's the exact opposite. They don't want to do anything with marketing the property or showing the property and everything that goes with that, but they're fine ongoing of being that just point person to talk to. So we can really cut it up, and we even kind of split our services into those two separate things. But we've done some experimentation with owners that, hey, I just need help marketing my property and then screening tenants. I'll take all the photos. I'll be there to show. I'll even kind of work all the leads that come in for it and then take them over. So we've done some really kind of low cost limited service approaches too, as we're kind of experimenting in that market, just as if it's what owners are looking for and if it's a need we can fulfill. I think
Sure.
we're flexible in that aspect.
Yeah, and I think that's that's a huge selling point too, because everybody, I think a lot of times with other companies, it's kind of like here's what we're gonna do, and like here's the cost, and kind of take it or leave it, more or less, right?
Yep.
But I do think that there are people out there that they want, they have different strengths, or they want to be involved in things, and I think that's just a huge thing that you're able to do, and the fact that you're kind of in that niche of more of that single family home, those type of things, I think that's phenomenal, especially for a lot of the top agents that are in our market that do have one or two rental properties, and maybe they're able to take those out. You're able to take some of the responsibility off of their hands, to give them an opportunity to not have to deal with it. And I think that's phenomenal for sure. So.
Well, and for all the agents out there, I mean, part of what we really focus on is marketing back and turning our tenants into homeowners at some point. So typically whenever we're working with an agent, whether that's an investor they referred to us or it's their property directly, we always then refer those tenants when they're ready to become buyers right back to that agent too, and kind of keep the process going.
Definitely. And I think too, I mean, I know your background definitely in real estate and things like that. I think that's another huge thing that you definitely bring to the table, is just understanding that process, right? Like understanding the home buying process and things of that nature. I think is just another huge attribute to your company overall, because you can speak to the lingo, you understand the process, and you're able to definitely help in that side of things.
Well, and at some point, it just comes down to the information. I mean, if you look at what real estate individual agents or teams might pay to services like Zillow for leads, some of those monthly costs, Zillow is just selling information that they're finding out about people. I mean, if you look at our pool of tenants that we have, I already know all their application information, where they work, credits. I know when their lease is maturing. So we can kind of market to them, backwards up to that lease date. And we do our best to try to just keep tabs with the tenants. We have a really nice platform where they can go online. A lot of times if they do have a maintenance request to submit, they can take a video of it. We can kind of chat back and forth. The service tech that goes out, they can see all that information too. So in the property management, I mean, it's really just a service. It's not necessarily a product we're providing. So we have to make sure we're doing that as good as possible. And I think the more transparent we can be, especially with the information side of it, keeping everybody in the loop on the communication aspect really helps.
Yeah. Yeah. I think you hit it on the head too. I mean, any service company, right, is what type of value are you providing? And I think, even from we're talking kind of from an agent perspective, but I think the value of, they have their own properties and they need help on that end, but also from a tenant standpoint, like you said, I think there's multiple layers of value that you provide, that a lot of other companies out there on the property management side don't really provide that. And I think on top of it too, the technology aspect and the communication that you have with the tenants, that's also huge too. I mean, there's, like you said, there's how many horror stories are out there of, property management companies just never getting back to people. And then it winds up becoming a much bigger issue, and a leak turns into, water damage, right? So I think being able to have those things in place definitely is something that really sets you guys apart from other companies. So
yeah, I'd agree. As being as proactive as possible, you can head off a lot of those potential issues. Nothing's ever, if sweeping it under the rug, it's not going to make it go away. What it is, maybe not paying the rent on time or whatever it could be, like those issues, you really got to hit them head on right away. And we even try to with our inspections. We partner with a service called Company Cam, where it's kind of like a Dropbox type file storage, but we can mark up the photos. I can send them to anybody. But that's where we store all of our inspection information. So even when on a new move-in, the owner gets a link to that, the tenant gets a link to that, trying to just get on the same page with the properties. Move-in and move-out inspections are critical, but we even do the mid-lease inspections too. Keeps that communication channel open. So for potential buyer opportunities with the tenant, and even potential maintenance issues that they may not have even. I've identified a couple issues on a mid-lease inspection where a tenant was just kind of blind to it because they've never been a homeowner before. They don't know some of those things to look for. So just going through and giving the property a once over, I think, is an asset to itself.
Yeah, definitely. I think from the beginning, right, you guys are able to provide just an all-inclusive service if they want, or just a portion of your services, and just the constant communication. Somebody's buying a house and they're renting it out, that's their investment, right? Or they see it as an investment. So knowing that you have a company and you're heading a company that is taking care of that investment and doing all the things necessary, I think is probably the biggest selling point for what you guys do.
Yeah, no, I would agree. And I think we look at each property. I mean, there's some of the properties that, I might personally own or own with a group of investors or third-party investors. They all get the same treatment. We are 100% on board with everything. There's no markup we charge for maintenance services or anything. I mean, we have some great, I think, third-party contractors out there that I've built up just as an investor myself of, guys I know that I can, lean on to get things done from a service request. They're going to be on time, so they're not going to inconvenience the tenant. They're going to do a good job at a fair price, I think. And that's really, I would say, the maintenance side of the business is probably, from an ongoing perspective, even tougher than the rent collection side.
Sure. Yeah, I can only imagine. Awesome. Well, James, I really appreciate your time today, jumping on the call, giving us some insight into you and your business. But love to give you an opportunity just to kind of wrap things up with any final thoughts that you'd like everybody to know.
Yeah, I mean, for us, we're a niche company. I think we fit in well with a lot of real estate agents, whether it's properties that they personally own or clients that they're working with. I mean, I can't think of how many situations that I've had other realtors call me where it's maybe a house they can't sell because it has a couple flaws. But a lot of times, we even have buyers that can fall into those opportunities as well too. I mean, we work with a number of investors that are actively looking for occupied properties, investment properties. So in the end, it's just about connecting the dots. And I think keeping all communication channels open, which is why you doing things like this, I think really helps just to help educate, about all the options out there. I think during this kind of lockdown time, I've tried to streamline our businesses and just be leaner, more efficient. And I look forward to hopefully a very much busier spring into summer.
I think we all are, right? Very much so. No, I think that's awesome. I think, you've been referred over obviously by a few different top agents and things like that. And, working in the real estate industry, I know you understand that. So I really just appreciate your time and obviously just being an awesome partner for us to be able to refer out to the top agents in our platform to give them another option to better their business. And so we definitely appreciate that with Milwaukee Real Producers as well.
All right. I appreciate the time, Drew. Thanks.
Definitely. Thanks so much, James. Have a great rest of your day.
You too.
Bye.